Now, if you think that Zohran Mamdani is the only Democratic socialist making waves this year, you're wrong. I'm Noah Lyons from the What's Really Going On pod, and let's talk to you about DC politics. So just hours ago, Janeese Lewis George, who is a councilwoman in the District of Columbia, just won the primary in the District of Columbia to become essentially the city's next mayor. Now, this is pretty big news because Janeese Lewis George is a pretty young woman for someone who's entering politics, has a young family, and most importantly, is a member of the Democratic Socialist Party. Now, like Mamdani, she wanted to do a bunch of very progressive things on policy, including having caps on the amount that a family could spend on childcare, wanted to do stuff on affordable housing, healthcare, transportation, a bunch of really progressive issues. But unfortunately, unlike Zohran Mamdani in New York, Janeese Lewis George is going to have a pretty big problem when she's mayor, and that has to do with statehood. Now, because DC is not a state, and this is where things get really important, I'm going to introduce you to something called DC Home Rule. So essentially, every single thing that the District of Columbia does from a legislative and from a budgetary perspective has to be approved by Congress. That means if the District of Columbia wants to pass a cap on the amount that someone can spend on childcare, that has to go through Congress. If DC wanted to have more policies on affordable health care, transportation subsidies, that has to also go through Congress. So Janeese Lewis George's big test will be going not only against Congress, but against the president. Now, as you could imagine, because our president doesn't have anything else better to do, like improve the economy or fix gas prices, he's already started early seeing that Janeese Lewis George is not only going to win, but potentially cause him problems, and he's already threatened to use DC Home Rule. Here's what he said.
Well, I wouldn't like it, and maybe we'd take back Washington, run it on the federal basis. We won't put up with it. We're not going to lose our business.
Now on to a Fox 5 News alert. With just days ago until the D.C. mayoral primary, President Trump wading in, threatening D.C. home rule.
The president expressing his concerns if frontrunner D.C. Councilmember Janeese Lewis George wins Tuesday's primary. Lewis George seen as the more progressive candidate and the frontrunner in the race. Her main competitor, former Councilmember Kenyon McDuffie, has made safety a central part of his campaign, but has trailed behind in recent polling. Election day set for Tuesday.